everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be doing the Blogger landing page challenge from Frontend Mentor. So you can head over to frontendmentor.io/challenges and then just click on this card and then click on start challenge like so, and then click on get started and then just say download the starter file, okay, which will download the starter file for you. Now once you do that, then you will need to extract it, okay. So you can head over to whatever place that it's downloaded in, and then you can just extract the file that is downloaded and then just open this with, I'm just going to open this with Visual Studio Code, but I've already done that, so let me open it up right here. Okay, now you cannot open it up with whatever text editor that you want. I just prefer to use Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to leave this to the side, and then we are going to be building this in React. So what I want to do is just open up my terminal, which I have right here, and then I'm going to cd into my desktop because that's where I want my application to live. And then I'm going to say npx create react app, and I'm just going to call it blogger like that, and then I'm going to run that. Okay, so once this finishes running, then what I'm going to do is say code into Blogr, which is the name of the folder that has just been created like so. So I'm going to have my Visual Studio Code window open here, which is my workspace, and then this other one is going to be the downloaded folder from Frontend Mentor. Now what I'm going to do is just close this down first of all, and then I forgot to mention that we're going to be using Tailwind CSS for this project, but then I was having issues installing Tailwind CSS in my application. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing this, installing it with npm, because we're not really going to be going into the core of Tailwind CSS, what I'm going to do is head over to cdnjs.com and then grab the Tailwind CSS CDN from here. So I'm going to search for Tailwind CSS and then grab this link tag and then go into my application. Inside here, I'm going to the public folder into my index.html. Let me make this full screen, okay, and then I'm going to paste Tailwind CSS right around there, and then I'm going to remove this, okay, and then remove this as well, okay, and then remove this comment as well. So we're going to, this is Tailwind CSS right here, and then we're going to change this title to whatever title is inside this index.html inside our downloaded files. Now what I'm going to do is right away I'm going to copy this style guide. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to select this readme and this readme as well, and then the index.html, the images folder, and then the design folder, and then I'm just going to copy these and then paste them inside my workspace like so. And then I'm going to go inside this git ignore and just select everything and say copy, and then inside my git ignore in my workspace I'm going to go to the bottom right here and then just paste them, and then I'm going to change this to line 29 and then this to line 30, and then I'm going to change this to line 36 like so. And then once we do that, then we can now close this because we no longer need it. And then inside my index.html, write this one, and let me just confirm what this title says. It says this, so I'm going to copy this and then just paste it inside here, and then I'm going to change this to Blogger landing page like so. That's looking correct. Now before we really get started, what I want to do is I want to check my style guide to check what font we're going to be using. Okay, now let me just grab this. Let me grab this link. So we're getting the overpass font and then the weight 300 and 600. So let me just click on this and open up fonts.google.com. Wait, what was it? The 300 and 600. So I'm grabbing the light 300 and the semi-bold 600 like so. And then we also need to get the Ubuntu font with the font weights of 400, 500, and 700. So let me go back inside here and let me search for Ubuntu like so, and then let me get the 400, 500, and 700. So regular 400, 500 medium, and 700 bold like so. And then notice how we have two fonts imported here. So we have the overpass and then the Ubuntu. So I'm just going to grab all of this and copy it, and then inside my index.html, I want the font to be the first thing executed, so I'm going to place it above Tailwind CSS like so. So paste this. You know what? Probably this should be the second one. Okay, probably this should be the second one. Come on, and move it downwards like so. Okay, So I think that will be it for the fonts, and I can close this page as well. And actually I can close this page as well. And then what we need to do next is, let me close this. Before I close that, I need to remember to change this theme color. Let me delete now. Notice how we have two readmes, right? We have the readme copy and then we have this readme. Now this is the one that was generated by create react app, so I'm going to delete it. And then this other one is the one that is coming from Frontend mentor, so I'm just going to rename it into readme, like so. Remove the copy, right? So save this, and then in our package JSON, what do we need to do? I don't think we're going to be using any dependencies for this project. Well, we actually might, and I want to install React icon, so let me say npm install dash save, and it's called React dash icons, like so. Now once as this installs, what I want to do is now continue to check out all of this, and I can already see that the body should have a font size of 16 pixels. That is for the text, and then we have our colors right there. Okay, now what I want to do is go inside my source folder. Let me close this and go inside my source folder, and inside my index CSS right here, I'm going to remove everything, right? And then I'm just going to say place a colon and say root, and this inside here we're going to place my variables, like so, which are just going to be our colors. And then I want to say for all the images, I want them to have a max width of 100%. And then I want to target all the ULs as well, and say list style type, set this to none. And then I want to target the anchor tags and set this to a text decoration of none. And then I'm going to go inside the body and give this body a font family of overpass with a fallback of sans serif, like so. I'm still not sure where the Ubuntu font is going to come in, but once I find that out, then I'm going to specify it as well. For now, I think this should work correctly. And then I want to target the paragraph as well. So right above this body, I want to target all the paragraphs that are going to be inside here and set them to a font size of 16 pixels, like so. So I can save that, and then I can go back inside here, and then I'm going to copy all of this. Just copy, wait a minute. I'm going to copy everything from here to here, right? So copy all of this, and then right inside my index CSS, I'm going to paste all of that inside here. And then we are going to change a few things. For example, this is going to be a comment now. We don't want this 3 hashtags. And how I'm placing comments is by control and /. That's how I'm doing this. Okay. And then change this to a CSS variable by placing 2 dashes and saying light dash red, like so. Change this to, this is the call to action text. I can grab this and then I can place it to the end and saying just paste this in, like so. Okay, just so that we know what we are dealing with inside here. And then I can grab this, place another comment, paste this in, close the comment out, and then this is called very light red, so very dash light dash red, like so. And remember to place your semicolon. And then this is called very dark blue, so grab this and say very dash dark dash blue, like so. Okay, and then these are the headings. Oops, meant to grab this, and then place a comment / asterisk, and then say these are the headings and close it out, like so. And then these are the neutral colors, so turn this into a comment, like so. Okay, and remember to place your semicolons. Why am I forgetting that? Okay, and then this is the text, so I'm going to grab this. Okay, you know what, this is called white. Okay, place a comment here and say text, close the comment out, like so. This is grayish blue, grayish dash blue. This is the footer text. You know what, let me copy this. Let me copy the you know what, let me just copy this. Okay, and you might be wondering why I'm not using the command that I've just shown you of control and /. It's because if I try to use it, then it would comment out the entire line, which I don't want. Okay, so this is the footer text. Remove this from here, like so. Place your semicolons, place a semicolon, place your semicolon here and here, and then this is very dark grayish blue. Okay, so very dark grayish blue. This is the body copy, so paste this in, say this is body copy, like so. Remove this, and then this is the footer background, so this is called very dark black blue. So very dash dark dash black dash blue. Footer background, so remove this from here, place my comment here and say this is the footer background, like so. Okay, the semicolon should be outside here, and that's looking almost nice. And then do this for this one as well. So this is the gradient, so background gradient intro CTA mobile love. So the background gradient that we're going to use, and I think they mean for this one, let me just see this. I think they mean this background gradient, as you can see, it's set from a light color here, from a light color to a darker color. I think they mean this one right here. So I'm going to say background, just place this inside a comment, and I'm going to say background gradient. So I'm going to say background dash gradient, and set this to linear gradient, linear dash gradient, like so. Set it to 120 degrees, and then just grab this first color, cut it out and paste it inside here, like so, and then grab place a comma, and then grab this second color and paste it inside here, and then we can remove this. Okay, so and then this is the background gradient for the body. I'm not really sure where this comes in, so for now I'm just going to comment it out like so, so that we're going to have all this for our variables and for our colors. Okay, so let me move this upwards, move this like that, just to separate them out a bit, like so. So this is going to be our variables for now. Now I've just noticed something, I've just remembered something, that it says here all the headings are going to have this color. So what I'm going to do is this very dark blue, I'm going to set it into all the headings. So right above the paragraph, I'm going to target the H1, the H2, the H3, H4, H5, and H6 if we're going to have them at all. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to set the color to, what was the color? These are the headings. I should probably rename this to headings, like so, just so that it's more descriptive and we know what we're looking for when we're debugging. So I can say this is equal to var and dash dash headings, like so, and that's how we set colors for all our headings. What else do we need to change? This should be double dash dash grayish blue. And then let me go back into the paragraph as well and set this to a line height of 1.6, like so. Okay, and that should be working correctly now. And what I'm going to do next is just start up my development server. And actually, before I do that, let me delete this app CSS file, delete this app CSS, and then go inside my app.js and remove these two lines, these first two lines, like so, and then change this into an arrow function by saying const app equals to our brackets and then our arrow function, and then remove this entire div inside here and just return a fragment like so with an h1 that says Blogr landing page. So save that, and then now finally I can now start on my development server by saying npm start, like so. Now as that spins up, what I want to do is, let me close these files, and let me close the style guide because I think we are done with it. Close this out, and let me close the readme as well, and the index HTML. I don't think we're going to need that except probably to change the theme color, and then let me close the git ignore as well. Now what we need to do is I'm going to go inside my source folder and create a new folder called components. Right now these components are going to be quite a few. The first one is going to be the header.js. Okay, the second one is going to be the menu.js. Okay, now the menu.js is what is going to be our hamburger menu, and the header.js is going to house everything. And then the next component we're going to add is the showcase.js. And then let me look at the design once again. I just want to write all of them down so that we know what we're going to be working with next. And then so this showcase is going to be this right here, all of this. And then design for the future, let me just call this next component design. So I'm going to say designed index.js, like so. And then the next one is going to be state.js. Let me rename this. Oops. Let me create a new file called state.js, like so. And then we're going to say free.js. I'm just picking the first one because I can't really give a descriptive name for all of this. So let me say free.js. And then once we have free.js, then we need the footer.js at the bottom. So footer.js. And then once we have all our components like that, I want to go back inside my source folder and create a new folder called data, like so, which is obviously going to house all of our data. And I've just remembered something that probably we are going to need some kind of unique package that generates unique IDs. So I'm going to say npm install UUID, which is my go-to package. And now the first one that I'm going to add is the footer. So footer.js, like so. And I think I can go inside my index.html right here and then go to the bottom. And I think this is the footer. Let me just confirm this by going where's my image right here. And you can see product is the first one that begins. So product and all of this. Now, when I go back inside my index.html, I'm just going to grab all of this up to here and just cut it out. And then go inside this footer and just paste it inside here, but grab all of it and paste it inside a comment. And then below this, I'm going to say import v4 as UUID v4 from UUID, which we are just installing. And then I'm going to say export const footer. So I'm going to give it a named export. And this is going to be equal to an array of objects. The ID is going to be equal to UUID v4, like so. So we're just invoking it because we have imported it at the top, and then it will generate a unique ID. Then the title for this, the first one is going to be product, right? And then the links are going to be an array. Okay, the links inside the footer are going to be an array. So let me just grab this. So copy and paste it a few more times. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Copy and paste. Why does it do that? Okay, so let me grab this. So the first one is overview, so just cut it out, paste it inside here. The second one is pricing, cut it out, paste it inside here. The third one is marketplace, cut it out, paste it inside here. Okay, let me do this just so that it's a bit faster. Okay, the fourth one is features, right? So features, place a comma here. The next one is integrations, so integrations, and then remove this final one. And then once I do this, then what I want to do is just grab this and copy it down about, we're done with this, right? So about 2 more times. Wait, is it 2 more times? Okay, 2 more times, right? So inside here, I'm going to grab this and 1, 2. And then this second one says company. So cut it out, paste it inside here. And you know what? I've noticed that I can probably just split the screen like so that we don't have to keep on jumping back and forth. So the first one is company, this is the title is about, then the first link is about, this one is team, like so, this one is blog, like so, this one is careers, and careers, like so, and then remove this final one. And then for the third one, this is connect, so connect is the title, then contact, newsletter, and LinkedIn, like so, and then remove this too. And that's what we're going to have, and then remove these lines at the top because we no longer need them. Okay, that's looking sharp. So this is going to be our data array for the footer. Now we're also going to need to create a data array for our header as well. Okay, and for our header, we don't need this. For our header, we have the same data array, where as you can see, we have for the footer, connect, and everything inside here. So we are going to be using the same data array for our header as the one we've just created for our footer. And probably I should change this into something like navbar, but you know what, it's fine even if it stays at footer, and because it's a named export, it's a named export, like so. So what I'm going to do is just remove all of this up to here, and then these are our call to action buttons, and then this begins our showcase. Okay, so that's looking nice, and I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to remove this as well. So now the first thing that I want to do is go inside my header. Where's my header? And you know what, let me first build out my showcase, and I'm going to go into showcase.js, and I'm going to say _array fce, And I'm saying underscore so that it doesn't import React at the top, because we don't really need it. We no longer need to import React at the top. And then I'm going to return a fragment in here with a section with a class of showcase. Is that correct? You know what, let me not give it a class. And then inside here I'm going to have a div, and then inside this div I'm going to have an h1. Okay, and the text for this h1 is going to say a modern publishing platform, like so. Grab it, paste it inside here, and then we're going to have a paragraph below this, and the paragraph says grow your audience, build your online brand, like so. Paste it inside here. Probably should move this right around here. Okay, so let's see what we have in our design. Okay, and then we have two buttons at the bottom. So right below the paragraph I'm going to place a UL, and this UL is going to have two list items times 2, and these list items are going to be buttons. Now I'm not using anchor tags because, you know, technically these links don't really go anywhere. Okay, these links don't go anywhere, so there's no point in using anchor tags, because if you're using anchor tags and, for example, you place a hashtag inside, then React is going to throw you a warning, and I don't want that warning, because it is a warning in development, but it becomes an error when you publish your application. So this first one says start for free, and then the second one says learn more. So start for free and then learn more, like so. So save this. Okay, and then I've just remembered that we probably need to import our image at the top, and the image that I'm talking about is this background image that looks like a circle and some squares right inside there. Now that image is going to be coming from our images folder inside here, but then we want this images folder to be accessible for us within our application. So inside my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder called images, and then I'm just going to go and look for the background. This is the illustration editor. Where's the mobile? BG pattern intro, BG pattern circles. I don't know which is which. I'm just going to copy these two. So just copy this and then paste them inside my images folder, like so. So that now I can go inside my showcase, and then I can say import, or let me just call it bg from dot slash images slash what's it called? It's called bg pattern circle. So let me say bg dash, is it the circles pattern? No, it's not the circle, it is the pattern intro. Bg dash pattern dash intro.svg. Okay, now when you're not importing JavaScript files, then you always need to have the extension at the end. That's why it doesn't even give you the option, it doesn't like auto-complete it for you, because you always have to have everything. But if you're importing JavaScript files, then you know you can just import it as the name of the file. And what I mean is, if I try to import a component inside here, so if I can say import header from dot slash and notice how it just completes for you. You don't have to have the extension at the end. But for every other file, for CSS files and for every other HTML file, for example, then you'd have to have the extension at the end as well. Just something that you should know. And so I'm going to save this, and then inside my app.js, where's my app.js? You know what, let me close these many files. Let me close this. Close this. Inside my app.js, then I want to render my showcase first of all. So inside here, I'm going to render showcase, and you can see it gives me the option to auto import it. So that when I say enter, it's going to import it at the top, and then I'm going to close it out, and we should see this. Look at that. So we have our buttons here, and then we have our h1, and we have our paragraph. Now, if you're wondering why it all looks like this, remember we imported tailored CSS in our index.html file. So it resets some of the styling for us, so that this now no longer looks like an h1, even though it is an h1. Okay, just something that you should know. And then I've remembered something, that we were provided some kind of color for our text, right? This is the color for our text. This is the neutral. Okay, this is the footer text, the body copy. Okay, so let's continue with our showcase, with starting out our showcase. First of all, I want to give this a class name of, I've just remembered that probably we're going to add a custom background color because of the linear gradient. So I'm going to give this a class of showcase first of all, and then I'm going to say display this as a flex, and then items dash center, and then justify dash center. Let's see how this looks. Should go like that. You know what, let me place this to the side so that we can just see everything as we style it. so that we have this, and then I'm going to say text center, which is text align center, like so, and then go inside this h1, give this a class name of what's it called, font dash bold. Okay, and then say text dash, let's say 4XL for small screens first of all, and then go back inside this section probably, or you know what, inside this div, give this a class name of padding on the x of 5, just to push it inwards a bit. Okay, that's looking fantastic. And you know what I should have done is grab all of this from here and then paste them inside here, so that I can now give this a class of overlay, which I'm going to target in my CSS as well, so that when this is set to, for example, a fixed height that I'm going to choose, then I'm also going to set this to a fixed height, which will then set everything inside here to the perfect center of that height. And then I'm going to go inside this UL and give this a class name of flex, and then items dash center. Let's see what happens. Wait a minute, what? Something's wrong. This should be flex column, flex dash col, like so that we now have this for our buttons as well. And then I'm going to go inside these list items, give both of these a class name of margin on the x of 1 to separate them out, like so, and then margin on the y of probably 5, push them downwards. Now these two buttons are styled differently, right? Let me just confirm that this is white and then this is transparent. So I'm going to go back inside this showcase, give this first button, and you know what, I should you know what, let me just do it. So give this first button a class name of BG white, right? And then I'm going to say padding all round of 5, so padding dash 5 with a rounded dash large border. Let's see how this looks. What am I doing? Oh, I am correct, right? I am correct. This is padding background color of white, that's why we can't really see it. Okay, now let me go back into my CSS file, which is this one right here, and then let me target the showcase class right below this. Let me place a comment that says showcase, like so. So target the showcase and then give the showcase a background image, and this background image is going to be equal to our linear gradient, so which is called background gradient variable. So I'm going to say var bracket dash dash background gradient, like so, and we have this. Would you look at that? Looking amazing, isn't it? Now we can see what we're starting inside here. So let me go back into my showcase, which is this right here, and say padding on the y probably of 3, reduce it, or of 1, of 2 is much better. 2 is much better. And then for this second button, and probably I'm going to have to change this color, right? So also let me give this a class of btn dash light, for example, so that I can manually change the color in my CSS. And then let me go into the second button. So inside here, give this a class name of border and border dash white. Let's see what happens. Okay, and then padding dash 2, just like for the other button, with a rounded, let me say rounded dash full, by the way, not rounded dash large, but rounded dash full, like so. And then probably I should say padding on the y of 2 and then padding on the x of 4, just to increase the width of this, and then do the same for this. So padding on the y of 2 and padding on the x of 4, just like that. And then change this text to white, so I'm going to say text white. Looking amazing, looking amazing. Now let's go back inside our index CSS. I know we're jumping back and forth, but that's okay. So I'm going to say this should be a height of 500 pixels, 500 pixels, like so. Okay, and then target the showcase, target the overlay class, and just say mean height for this should be 500 pixels. We should now push it to the center. Look at that, looking amazing. And probably you know, for smaller screens, yeah, let me just reduce it to 400 pixels. I think that would be much better for smaller screens. And I've just remembered that this is this should be white. This should be white for the first one. Yep, it should be white. So I'm going to go back inside here, target my h1, and change this to text white. Text white, come on, like so. And there we go. So it changes it to text white, and then change this text to white as well. So instead of placing multiple ones, I'm just going to cut it off from here and place it inside this div right around here. We should now change this as well. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do, so let me just remove it. Let me add it manually. Paste this inside, go inside this paragraph, give this a class name of text dash white. Okay, that's much better. Now let me target the btn light class inside my index html index.css, and right below the paragraph I'm going to say for the btn dash light, then I want it to have a background, not a background but a different text color, call to action text, which is this right here. So it's called light red. So let me give this a color of var dash dash light red, like so that we have that. And then the font for this, the font weight for this should be around, let me just say bold, make it bold just a bit, and that's looking much better, right? Now what we need to do is add our background image, right, which is our svg right here. And I'm not too sure how I'm going to do that, but it's going to involve a lot of trial and error. So what I'm going to do is, right before this first div, I'm going to add a div, right, and this div is going to have my image, and the source for this is going to be bg, which I've just imported like so. And then I'm going to say for the alt, I'm going to say background pattern, like so. Background pattern intro, that's much better. We should push this down, and there we have it. Look at that, that's our background image. Now what I want to do is position this absolute, so I'm going to say class name of this should be absolute, okay, so that it does that. And then I want it to be positioned relative to the showcase, so I'm going to give this a class of relative, like so, okay. And then I'm going to say from the top 0 or top dash 0, is that working? Let me say minus z index, let me say minus z index of 50, that should work. Does it work? How do you add z index in Tailwind CSS? Let me just search for this. Let me search for this. Let me see z index. It should be possible to add a negative z index. I think it should. But let me see if I can go in here and say z index of 50, place it at the top. This doesn't seem to be working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this out for a moment, and then I'm going to go inside my index CSS. Let me see what will happen if I move this downwards. Okay, so nothing happens. It still stays the same. Okay, it still says the same, but then I can go inside the showcase and give this showcase a background of URL and say /images/background pattern intro.svg. Let me see what happens. Does it show? Does it show? Let me set this to no repeat, and center and cover. Does it show? Okay, so it shows behind the image. It shows up behind, not behind the image, but behind our background gradient. Okay. What do we need to do inside here so that this stops misbehaving? What happens if I place this above and then grab this and move it below? Okay, would you look at that? Would you look at that? So now our image appears, and then let me see, background overlay has this. It works for now, so I'm just going to leave it for a moment, and then let me go back into my showcase, and then I can remove this, and then I can remove this import at the top. And then for the H1, what I want to do is just add a margin on the bottom of this. So I'm going to say margin on the bottom of 5 to push it away from the paragraph, like so. And then right away, let's work with our header. Let's begin working with our header. And you know what, before I forget, just because I want to do everything fluidly, then I want to immediately introduce, what's it called? Scale everything up. Okay, and oh, it has a border left radius. Okay, it has a border left radius. Add it in manually by saying border dash bottom dash left dash radius. Set this to around 100 pixels. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so let's begin to scale it up and let's see how this looks. Now all we need to do is just change the size of this. That's basically it, because the paragraph is set to a fixed size of 16 pixels. Now how do you do that? We can just go back inside here and then use some built-in media queries from Tailwind CSS and go inside the H1 and say that for medium screens, so MD and then colon, that's for around tablet size, which is around 768 pixels. Then I want the text to be 5XL. Okay, and then I'm going to say that for extra large screens, which is about 1024 pixels, I think so, then I want to say text dash 6XL. And would you look at that? And then let me just say for 2XL screens, Then I want the text to be 7XL, and then let's see, look at that. Okay, so that's working correctly. And then obviously for bigger screens, then we want this to increase. So what I'm going to do is, right where I place the height, remember I placed the height here, then I'm going to add a media query that I'm going to say at media min width of around, let me say 1024 pixels. Then I want the showcase, and then I also want the showcase dash showcase dot overlay, like so, and I want to increase both heights to around 600 pixels. Let me see how this looks. That's too big. Let's say 500. Is that too big? Is that actually too big? Let me just leave it at 600. I think 600 is fine. Okay. Okay. Now that is going to be it for a showcase, and immediately I want to just close this file and then go inside our header.js, like so, and then inside our header I'm going to say array fce, actually underscore array fce, like so. We want to import our image, so let me import our logo first of all. So I'm going to say import logo from dot slash images slash logo dot svg, which we haven't yet copied and pasted, but it's right here. So just copy this, and then inside this images folder, then just paste it inside to get our logo. How do I want to do this? Let me look at this design. We have our logo, we have the text here, and then we have our two call to action buttons, which are these right here. So I might have to create another component just so that it doesn't become overwhelming, and then I'm going to create a component called buttons.js, like so, and then I'm going to say underscore array fce, and then inside I'm going to return an empty fragment, and then just return a div, like so, and then this div is going to have a ul with two list items, like so, and these list items are going to be buttons, and then they're going to be call to action buttons, and the first one says login, so paste this inside here, and then the second one says sign up, like so. Cut it out and just paste it inside here, save that, and then we need to import this to show inside our header, right? So I'm going to go at the top here, and I'm going to say import buttons from /buttons, like so, and then inside here I'm going to return a fragment once again, and then I'm going to return a header tag, and then this header tag is going to have our buttons component showing, and then above here we are also going to create a logo. So I'm going to create a div inside here, and with an image that says logo, the source for this, and then the alt is just going to say Blogr logo, like so, and then below this, then I want to get our data, which is basically our links, right? Now in order to do this, then I'm going to need to import use state from React. So I'm going to say import state from React, like so, and then React, and then I'm going to set up my state value. So I'm going to say const what should I say, const nav links and set nav links, and this is going to be coming from use state, and by default I want to pass in the footer data. Remember we created the footer data, our footer data, which is where is it, right inside here. So we have our footer data, so this is going to be the same thing as we have for our header. So while this is almost correct, it is wrong because we've still not imported this. So right below the buttons here I'm going to say import footer from, actually it's a named export, so I'm going to say import footer from data slash footer, like so, and then now it should be mostly correct. And just to test it out, then I can say nav links dot length, like so, and just say links. Let's see what we have, and we have nothing because I need to import this in app.js right above the showcase, and then I can say header, it's called header, like so, gives me the option to auto import it, and that's looking nice, and we should see something like 3 links, so that's looking great. And then this is our image right here, this is our image, our logo. Now the first thing that I want to do is go back inside here, inside the header, give this a class name of absolute, just so that it goes behind the image. Okay, And I've just remembered that inside the showcase I gave it a z index of 50. I don't want to do that. Where is it? Inside here I gave it a z index of 50. I don't want to do that. That's why we can't really see our navbar. Okay, perhaps I was wrong. I can remove this relative as well, and there we go. And where was I? Inside our header. And then now instead of displaying this, what I want to do is return a nav element, and then inside here we're going to have a UL, and then right inside here now I'm going to map over my data. So I'm going to say nav links dot map, and then place my two brackets, and then destructure everything immediately. I'm going to say destructure the ID, the title, and the links, right? And then go inside here and then set up my return immediately by placing brackets like that instead of adding the return keyword. And then I want to return a list item with a key being equal to ID, like so. And then inside here, because once again these are not actual links, I don't want to use hrefs, I'm just going to return the text immediately that says the title, so that we're going to have this. And then I'm going to go inside here, and wait a minute, this is the mobile first design, this is mobile, this is for mobile designs. So what I need to do is I need to add a padding here of 5 all round, just to push it everything inwards. And then let me see how the mobile design looks like when the links are open by going inside the design folder and say mobile menu. So this is how it looks. And notice how we need to add this icon, right? We need to add that icon as well. So for that icon, I'm going to create a new component. Actually, I already created it, called menu, and I'm going to say underscore RAFCE. Okay, and then once I do that, then right at the top, remember we installed React icons when we were beginning, so I'm going to say import, and I've forgotten the names of those icons once again, but that's okay, we can just Google them. And let's see, we have, do we need those icons? Actually, you know what, we don't really need them because they are provided images for us, which is the icon hamburger and icon close, so we don't really need to use this. Okay, which it makes installing React icons really of no point, but that's okay. So I'm going to say import open from, and I'm calling it open because it's going to be the 3 dashes that we have when the hamburger menu is closed. So this is coming from /images slash, it's called icon dash hamburger.svg. Is that correct? Okay, and then I'm going to say import close from /images slash icon dash close svg, and that should be correct, but it's not correct because inside here now let me return a fragment and then a div, and then we're going to be checking for whether the hamburger menu is open or is closed. So I'm just going to leave this blank for now. Okay, instead of leaving it blank, let me just return an image first of all. And you know what, instead of a div, let me return a button. Okay, and then the source for this image is going to be open, like so. Then just save that, and then inside here I just want to render it out. I'm going to be rendering it after, not really after, but before the images, and it's going to be positioned absolute within the header. So how do we do that? I'm going to render it inside here. Oops, wrong one. Render it inside here, and it's called menu, like so. Auto import it, please. There you go. It auto imports it at the top. So save this. Let's see, it should appear. Cancel images icon close.svg. Oh, I didn't import them, I didn't copy them, so I'm just going to grab these two, copy these and paste them inside this images folder, like so. And there we go. So we have our image appearing here, and we've placed it inside a button. Okay, now we're going to be doing a bit of technicality inside here, where we only want these nav links to appear when the menu is clicked, right? So we need to set up some kind of state values to check whether the nav is open or closed. So I'm going to say const is open and set is open, and if you've watched some of my other videos, I usually do this. So I'm going to say use state and pass in false, like so, because it's going to be false by default because we don't want the nav bar to appear by default. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this nav link inside here, and probably these buttons as well. Do the buttons appear? Where's our image? Where's our design? Mobile menu. Do the buttons appear? Okay, so the buttons are also part of the navbar, right? The buttons are also part of it. So what I'm going to do is grab the nav inside here as well as the buttons. So grab it out and then place my brackets inside here and say only when is open is true. So place a truthy and then paste that in. And what this basically means is that only when this is true, I should place brackets inside here like so. Why aren't you working? Is it because of this? Okay, so only when is open is true. So this truthy and checks for whether it is true, and only when it is true, that's when it's going to display our unordered list. I'm going to deal with that buttons component later. So let's save this and this should disappear like so. And then notice how if I change it to true, then it appears like so, and if I change it to false, then it disappears. Okay, now we need a way to add a click event on this menu component, which is basically this, so that when we click on it, then it changes this state value from true to false, right? And from false to true, and backwards and forwards. So what we need to do is, because the click event is going to be happening on this button, right? Then we need to find a way to pass in these two state values inside our menu component, so that it can toggle, it can introduce our toggling effect, and we can do that using props, which is short for properties in React. So I can just create a prop here and say the prop is going to be is open, and it's going to be taking the is open state value, and then I'm going to say set is open as well, and it's going to be equal to the set is open function like so. So that when I save this, then I can go into main.js, and remember I've passed this in as props, right? So I can go inside here and then destructure them, and I can say destructure the is open and set is open like so. And by doing that, then I can go inside this button and say that on click, right, when I click the button, then I want to pass in my inline function like so, and then I'm going to say set is open to the opposite of whatever is open is set to, right? So if it's set to true, turn it to false, and if it's set to false, then turn it to true. So I'm going to save that, and look at this. Look at that, looking amazing, right? Now the final thing that we need to do before you can begin properly styling it is that when I click this, then I want this to be an X icon, right? So how do we do that? Then I can go inside here and I can just cut it out, and I can place in my brackets, and I'm going to say when is open is true, then I want the image to be rendered to be the close icon when it is true, and then when it is false, just paste this in. Look at that. So when it is true, it's going to render the close icon, which is this one, and then when it is false, it's going to render our open icon. So let me save this and let's see if this works. Notice how this is now open, so we have our close icon, and when I click it, it's now closed. Now we have our open icon. Look at that, looking amazing. Okay, and that is going to be it for the navbar, except we need to style it out just a bit better by going back inside here, and then I'm just going to say flex, right, and then items dash center, and then justify dash between. Is that correct? Okay, that is correct, but it's not really going to the end because of this is positioned absolute, so we can fix that by just saying width dash full like so. Look at that, that's looking amazing. And then obviously we need to style this out just a bit better, where I can go inside this navbar, give this a class name of absolute as well, absolute like so, and then I can just say left dash 50. You know what, let me not style this in Tailwind CSS because it's going to be a bit harder. So what I'm going to do is give this a class of navbar like so, and then I can go inside here and then right above the showcase, and I can say navbar, and then let me target the dot navbar class, and I'm going to say position this as absolute to the left of 50%. Is that correct? Let me give this a background color of dash dash white, which is a variable that we set up, white. And then let me say width should be 100%. What will this do? Let me not say left of 50%. Okay, something's not working. Let me say the width here should be 300 pixels. Okay, and then set the margin set the margin to auto. And let me set this to, let me say this should be a max width. Nope, that's not correct. That is not correct. That is not correct. What is another option that we need to do? Let me just add a border radius of 5 pixels, and then let me add a box shadow. So box dash shadow of box shadow of what? Let me say RGBA. Actually, let me say 0, 5 pixels, and then RGBA 0.5. A very slight box shadow. Okay, let me say this to 0.15. Barely visible, so that's okay. And then what will happen if I go inside the navbar? Then the navbar like this, target the UL and say display flex, and then align it to center, and then justify content to the center. Okay, and then let me set this to flex dash direction, set this to column. Okay, and then let me target the list item, so navbar ULLI like so, and then set the margin to be 10 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. Okay, and then set this to the top of 0 like so, so that it moves down rather than to the top of 0. Let me say to the top of 5, or let me say to the top of 30 pixels. Okay, and then to the left, let me play around with this, to the left of 50%, and then let me say transform and translate on the x-axis by minus 50%. Push it back like so. That's looking amazing. Okay, and then let me add some more padding, and I'm going to say padding of 50 pixels at the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right, so that we're going to have this. And now we need to render out our buttons. The reason why the buttons here wasn't rendering, did I import it? Yeah, the reason why it wasn't rendering is because you can only, this bracket means a return, and you can only return one element. Notice how if I try to place it inside the nav element, notice it disappears, and if I try to place it outside, then it brings me an error. So what I want to do is just grab all of this and place it inside a fragment like so, and then just place it inside, that we should now see our buttons. But that is going to be an issue because now the buttons are not inside the nav element which I've just tiled out. So let me push it up out and let me see how this looks. Okay, so that we're going to have this. I think that will be much better. That will be much better, and therefore we no longer need to return a fragment inside here. Okay. Now let me see. I think this would work for now for our mobile menu. Now we just need to style it out so that it looks better on a bigger screen, right? Okay, so let's do that. And I'm going to go inside my index CSS, and let me see. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to do it inside this header, where I'm going to give this, inside this class of navbar, inside this class of UL, I'm going to give this a class name of, for medium screens, so starting at tablet size, I'm going to say flex, right? Let me see. And that won't work. So I will need to style everything inside my index.css file. So let's just do that, where I'm going to create another media query here and say at media and min width of 768 pixels. Then I want to target the nav bar and position this as relative. So reset it from position absolute to position relative like so. And then the background color is going to be transparent like so. And then let me see what else we need to style out, what else we need to change. Let me you know what, let me just place it to the side so that we can just tell everything out one by one. Let's save this. So that this happens, we need to remove the box shadow so that we don't have this anymore. And where is it? Right inside here. I'm going to say the box shadow should be set to none. Okay, and then target the navbar, right? The navbar, the UL and the list items, change the color to white. Okay, and then we can reset the margin to 0 like so, and then it was set to the top of 50. What is the this width of 300? I want to remove this width of 300 and the padding on the top of 50. Okay, so the width is set to auto and then the padding is set to 0. Okay, so what is still pushing it from the top? What is still pushing it from the top? Let me check this. We have reset this. Okay, it's probably this translate, right? Okay, let's see inside here. Let's say from the left, then they set the left to 0. Okay, and then I can't even see, transform, and say translate on the x-axis to 0%. Okay, I think that should have reset everything, so that now I can go inside the header, right? Let me make this bigger just a bit. I can go inside the header and notice that now that we are on a bigger screen, then we will need this to disappear, right? And I can do that by going inside here and importing another hook called use effect, right? And then I can set up another state values where I'm going to say const width and set width like so, and this is equal to use state, and by default it's going to be 768, which is the value that we're using for our media query. And then once I do that, then I'm going to place my use effect and set up my callback function like so, and then add in an empty dependency array so that it only runs once. And then I'm going to say if window.innerWidth, right? So we're using JavaScript to get the width of the device that is being viewed on. And I'm going to say if window.innerWidth is greater than is greater than 768, actually not, is greater than the width, right, that we have inside here, then I want to say set is open, which is that correct? Yeah, set is open to false, to always false, and I think that should be correct. Sorry, not to false. What am I doing? Set it to true. Yep, set it to true. And would you look at that? That's looking amazing. Okay, and then what we need to do now is that we don't want this menu to appear, right? So how do we do that? We don't want this icon to appear, right? We don't want it to appear. So what I can do is I can go inside this button, give this a class name of MD, and I can say for MD then it should be hidden. And would you look at that? Now for small screens it shows, and for bigger screens it is now hidden, right? And that's looking almost amazing, but there's still something wrong where we need to start this out even much further, where I can go inside this navbar UL right inside here. I can say the navbar UL and I can say display flex. Why isn't this working? Navbar UL, oh, it's already displayed flex, so I need to change the flex direction to row. So let's say flex direction, set this to row like so. Okay, and then you know what, something is still wrong. Something is still wrong, because I would also want this to render. I want this now to render. So inside this navbar, let's see, let me see if I can remove this from here, right? And then inside here, let me go inside this navbar and then just say for MD, let's say flex. Let me see what happens. Okay, so that we have this, that's looking fantastic. And then I can go inside this UL and say that for MD, let's say flex row. That doesn't work because we are using our external CSS. So let's go inside here, and then let's say for the navbar UL, then I want to say display flex, not display flex, but flex dash direction, and set this to row, so that we now have this. Okay, And what is the margin that we have on the top? What is this that we have on the top? What is that we have on the top? I reset this margin, right? Yeah, I reset this margin here, and I reset the padding as well. I reset the padding as well somewhere, and I need to reset this top value. Okay, so right here I need to say top to 0. There we go. Okay, and then finally what we need to do is, because I want this to go to the end, and it's not going to the end, I think because of this, is that number UL. Let me see if I can say justify content to space between. No, that won't work. That won't work. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? I set this to width of 300 of the navbar. Width of 768. So the width is what is controlling this. And actually not, I don't want this to go to the end. I want the login and the sign up to go to the end. Right? So let's see, and that's because of this. So let's say md flex md justify dash between. Okay, so this means that this width is limited to somewhere here. Why is it like that? Why is it limited like that? Why are you limited? Okay, you know what, let's just continue building this out, and then once I figure out the problem with this, then we are going to come back to it. So what I want to do is just close this down and close this menu down as well, and close the showcase down, and then we're going to go into the next section, which is the design section. So let me find out that component. My component is called designed.js, like so, and I'm going to say underscore rfce, and then I need to import the icon, not the icon but the image that we're going to use. So I'm going to say import designed, or let me say image from, and I need to get it. It's called what's it called? This is the laptop, so I need to say illustration editor desktop and mobile. So I'm going to grab these two images, so copy these and then paste them inside here, paste them in. Okay, and then once I do that, then I can go inside here and return a fragment. Actually I was importing the font. Okay, I was importing the image, not the font. Place this full screen, and this is coming from dot slash or dot slash images slash illustration dash editor dash desktop dot svg, and then I'm going to copy this down, and then this is actually, I should call this desktop dash image, like so, and then I should call this mobile image, like so, and this is going to be mobile. And I'm importing both of them because I want to show you a very handy trick that HTML has. And then I'm going to be returning a section, if I can spell it, with an H that says designed for the future, like so. And then inside this section we're going to have a div, and then this div is going to have all this text, right, and then this image to the right. So this div is going to have an h3 that says what? Let me just grab it. We have both of these, so it has this first text. Cut this out, paste it inside here, and then add a paragraph below it, and the paragraph I think looks like this. Cut it out, paste it inside here, and then right below this, once again, we have an h3 that says robust content management, and then another one paragraph that says this. Cut it out and add a paragraph here, that, and just paste that in, and then all of this text, all of this needs to be inside another div. So this is going to be the first div that is inside this div, and then we're going to have another div inside here, and then this div is going to have a picture tag, and this picture tag is what is going to be housing our image, which is basically this. So once you have this picture tag, it's very interesting, because this picture tag can take in the source, and this source, what it does is that you can specify a media query within this, where you want the image to change from the mobile image that we have inside here to the desktop image. So I'm going to say for a mean width of about 768 pixels, then the source set for this, and remember this now not source, this is source set, then I want this to be desktop image, like so. So when we reach 768 pixels and above, then I want the image to be the desktop image. Okay, and I think I can remove this, and then we need to specify an image tag once again, because this is going to be the default image, and then the source for this is going to be mobile image, like so. And let's save this and hope nothing breaks, and let's import it right below this and say designed. Okay, so this gives me the option to auto import it, like so, and then I'm going to close it out. And once I save this, then look at that. So we have designed for the future, we have this, and then let's see if that picture tag works by just scaling this up. Look at that, at 768 pixels, then the image changes to the desktop image, and look at this, that's looking amazing, okay. So that's working correctly. Now all we need to do is just style it out, and this should be relatively easy, because I can just go inside this designed. One thing that I've noticed is that I can go inside my index.html, and right at the top where I have my the h1s, I can just say font weight, set this to bold, so that it's always bold for all our headers. And then I can now go inside this design and give this h2 a class name of, actually wait a minute, how does this look on mobile devices? So let's do mobile design. So this is text aligned to the center, so that the text is aligned to the center. So inside this section I can just say class name and say text dash center for everything, which will push everything to the center, correct? And then I can say padding on the y of 20, which will push this down, and also add a padding on the bottom as well. And then inside here I can say text dash 3xl, just to make it a bit smaller than the h1 above here. And then wait, how does this look? So the image appears first, and then the text appears second. That's easy enough to do, because I can just go inside here and give this a class name of flex, and flex row not row but flex call dash reverse, which will bring it to the top, like so. And then it will place the text at the bottom. And for this h3s, now for this h3 and the next one, I'm going to give this a class name. I've placed double cursors by holding down the alt key, right? So if I want to place a cursor here and here as well, I just hold down the alt key and click on this, and then I'm going to say the text here should be XL, make it just a bit bigger, or let me say 2XL. Let's see how this looks. That's okay, and then let's say margin on the y of 10. Really, no, that's not correct. I can say margin on the top of 10 and margin on the bottom of 5. Okay, so that we have this. Now what I want to do is for this first div, I just want to add another margin on the top. So I can say class name margin top of 10. And then once we do that, then I'm going to go back into the overall section inside here and add a padding on the x-axis of 5 to push everything inwards, like so, to push the text inwards as well. And then I will need to center this image perfectly, because notice how, if I try to scale it up, notice how it goes to the right. I don't want that to happen, right? And I can do that by going inside this picture tag, give this a class name of block and mx of auto, which will now center it, but it doesn't. Or let me just look at the width of this image. Let me check the width of this image. Really? Okay, let's see. Okay, so the image has a margin on the right. Okay, the image has a margin on the right, And let's see how we can do that. We can do that by giving this a class name of width dash full. This is annoying. Let me go inside here. Where is it? Inside this image, give this a class name of width dash full. Okay, so that we have that. And let me just set this to display block with an mx of auto just as a fallback in case it doesn't center properly. And then I want to add some margin on the top to push the image downwards. I'm going to say margin at the top of 10. Push it downwards so that we have that for this section. Would you look at that? Looking amazing. And then now for bigger screens, right about 768 pixels, then I want to display this section here and then this image as a grid. So I can go back inside here. Remember how I placed this div to be the parent div and then placed these two divs inside. So I can go inside here and say that for for MD I want grid, and then for MD I can say grid dash calls dash 2, right? And then for MD let's say gap dash 5. See how this looks? So that we have this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's looking amazing. And then probably I can say for MD I can say items dash center to push it downwards. There we go. Would you look at that? That's looking amazing. And then we also need to increase the size of this H2. So I can go inside here and say that for around large screens, then I want the text to be 4XL. Make it just a bit bigger. And then for 2XL screens, then I want the text to be dash 5XL. And let's say 2XL screens right around there. Okay, that's looking much better. And then the next thing that I want to do is now no longer a text align center for this, but I want it to text align left, right? And where did I place text? I placed text center here. Ooh, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. That was just a bit of a mistake, but that's okay. I can just place text center here. We will push this to the center. And then inside this div, I can say right around here, I can say text center, which will push it to the center, okay? And then I can say that for MD, then I want text dash left, which will push to the left. There we go. Look at that. So on smaller screens, we have this. And I think that this really isn't a good UI. I don't think this is a good UI because this image looks massively small and then the text looks very big. So what I'm going to do is instead of this, where is it? Where's my picture tag? I'm going to change this to 1024 pixels, okay, so that this will increase the image size just a bit because it's now showing the mobile image and it's no longer shrinking the desktop image. And then what I'm going to do is change all of these MDs, just grab them by using Control D like so, change all of this to large, so large screens, okay. Still not sure whether I like that as well. I'm not sure whether I like that as well. Let me just return them to medium. Yeah, let me just return them to medium. I'm not sure whether I like the other one. This is the lesser evil, so to speak. And then let me just change this back to yeah, let me just leave it at 1024. I think that would be much better. And then the next thing that I want to do is just limit this width just a bit. So limit this width for 2XL screens, where I'm going to say where is it? On this div, right? On this div, I'm going to say that for 2XL screens, then I want the max width like so to be 7XL. Let's see what happens. For 2XL screens, right around there, you can see that the width is just limited a bit. I do not, instead of for 2XL, let me say for XL screens, like so. And then I'm going to say that for XL screens, then I want the MX to be auto, so the margin on the X-axis to be auto, which will center it. Look at that, looking amazing. And then the next section that I want to do is actually this section. The next section I want to do is this section because it is insanely similar to this, okay? So what I'm going to do is, this section is called what? Free. I call it free.js. Is it free.js right there? And we need to import the two images, the laptop and the desktop. Just copy this and paste them inside the images folder like so. And then inside why does it keep closing my free.js? Like so, inside here, then I'm going to say import. Actually, you know what, just to make this faster, I'm going to just copy this copy this and paste them inside here, and then change this to laptop like so, and then I'm going to say underscore RAFCE, and then return a fragment, and then return a section, and then this section is going to have, how did I structure this? It's going to be the same structure as all of this actually. And you know what, just to make things easier, I'm just going to copy this, copy the entire section, copy it, and then just paste it here, because the styling is almost going to be the same. The only difference in the styling is that the image is going to come to the left and then the text is going to go to the right. Okay, so this is correct as it is. Now the text is the only different thing here, so let's just grab the text. This is state-of-the-art infrastructure. Nope, that's not the one. It should be free, open, simple. Where's my design? Yep, it should be free, open, simple, and then it doesn't have an H2, so it doesn't have this H2. Okay, and it says free, open, simple for the H3, for this first H3. Paste this in, and then it says this for the paragraph. Okay, and then once we copy out our paragraph, we can go ahead and grab this next H3. So cut this out, and where is it? Paste it inside here, and then cut this paragraph out, and then paste it inside here as well. So that should be fine. So let's save this. Let's see what we have. Of course, render it out. So render free like so, auto import it at the top, and let's see. So that we're going to have this. Now the only difference with this is that we want the image to come to the left. So what we need to do is actually just grab this div, grab this and paste it above this. So paste it above that so that this will come to the left, and then let's see how it looks on small screens. Now on small screens, instead of having row reverse, this set the flex set to column reverse, then we just wanted to set it to flex column, which will put this to the top. So just remove this, and we have this. Look at that, looking amazing. And of course, remember how we added padding on the Y of 20 on this section, and we also just copied it, so this section also has a padding on Y on the 20 of 20. So we just want to remove this one right here, and then instead add a padding on the bottom of 20. Push that up just a bit, and look at that. So we have this, that's looking amazing. And on bigger screens we have this. Fantastic. Okay, so let's continue on to the next section, which is our footer. So for our footer is going to be relatively easy. It's going to be almost similar to what we had in our navbar, where we're just going to fetch the data. So let's head over to footer.js. Where is it? Footer.js, right inside here. And then I'm going to say import use state first of all, because we need our state values. So use state from React, and then we also need to import our data. So I'm going to say import footer from /data-/footer like so, and then I'm going to say underscore RAFCE, and then right above this I'm going to set my links. So I'm going to say const let me say footer links, and set footer links like so. This is going to be equal to use state, and by default I want to pass in my footer like so, and then return a fragment, and then the footer element, footer HTML5 semantic element, and then inside here we need to bring in where's my design? We need to bring in this logo once again. So I can go inside here, and I'm just going to say import logo from /images /logo.svg, and then inside here I'm going to return a div, and this div is going to have an image, and the image source is going to be the logo that we've just imported. And then once we do that, then we're going to have another div. Okay, let me just save that to format it a bit. And then this other div is going to have a UL like so, and then inside here we're now going to map over our data. So I'm going to say footer links.map, and once again I'm just going to place my two brackets, and then place my curly brackets because I want to destruct it right away, and I want to destruct the ID, the title, and the links like so, and then set up my return immediately by just placing a bracket so that I don't have to write the return keyword. And then we're going to be returning an H3 first of all. Rather than H3, let's return an H4 that says title. Is that how I structured the data? Let me just confirm this inside my data footer.js. Okay, this should be links with an S, links with an S, like so. Okay, so the h4 says title, and then we're going to be returning a list item with a key of ID, like so. And I've just noticed something. It's basically the same error that we had. Remember that this links that we're destructuring is an array. So what we need to do is inside here, once again, we're going to need to destruct it. But just so that we get rid of this error, let me just grab this and place it inside a fragment, like so. So that we have this, and then inside this link, this list item, then I want to destructure the links. So I'm going to say links dot map, like so. And then for every link, then I just want to pass in my arrow function and then set up my immediate return, like so. And then we are going to be returning list item, returning a list item. This structure is terrible. This structure is terrible. So you know what, instead of this being here, this UL being here, I want to remove it from here and place it inside here. Okay, so that the div becomes the first one, and then this, and then instead of this list item here, then we're going to place the list items inside here. So you return list items with the key being equal to the ID, or being equal to the not the ID but to the link, like so. And then the text being equal to the link as well. And then the UL, because we return the UL, the key for this UL needs to be the ID. That's a bit confusing. And then once we do that, then I can go into my app.js and then render out the footer, like so. Auto import it, there we go. And we should see this, look at that, looking amazing. And our image starts it off at the top. Okay, so let's test this out. Let's go into the footer, and right inside here I want to give this a class name of footer because it has a custom background color, so that I can go into index CSS and then just before my media queries I can place a comment here and say footer, and then I can target the dot footer, like so. And then I'm going to say the background color should be the variable of footer. What did I call this variable? The footer background, where is it? Footer background is this one, so very dark black blue. So copy this down and just paste it inside here. Of course not like that, but paste it inside of var, and then paste that in, so that we have this. Okay, so once we have that, then we can begin adding our own styling. So let me see how the mobile design looks for this. Where is it? Mobile design for the footer looks like this. That's easy enough. So I can go into my footer component and then just say text-center. Look at that, looking amazing. And then inside this image, because I also want the image to go to the center, I can just give this a class name of block and then mx auto, like so. And then I can say margin on the y-axis, of 10. Really, padding on the y, let's say padding on the y-axis of 10. And then I want the border, this border, to have a rounded edge. I'm going to do that. But then again, remember that the footer also had a custom text color, if I do remember correctly. Let me close this. Where's my mobile design? Why does that keep closing? Mobile design. Okay, let me check the index CSS. So inside where is it? The footer text. So this is the footer text, the grayish blue. So I'm going to cut it out and go into the footer here and then set the color to dash to var, and then just paste this in, like so. And then obviously also the h, was it the h4s? So the footer h4 also need to have the same color, so just copy this and paste this inside, like so. Okay, now let's tell this out even better by going into our footer component, like so. I'm going to into the h4, give this a class name of margin on the bottom of 5, like so, and then let's say text dash large. Okay, and then let's go inside this list items, right inside here, give this a class name of class name of what? Let's say margin on the y of 3. Separate them out just a bit, and probably this should be margin y, so that it separates. Oh, you know what, let me just say margin top of 10, margin bottom of 5, so that we have this. Okay, so that we have this, but something's not working. Why do I have this space? Is it because of this margin? Let me change this to padding. Let's see. Okay, so padding is much better. Probably I can reduce the space inside here by reducing this to padding, or I can say padding on the top of 10 and padding on the bottom of 5, or I can even say padding on the bottom, or I can just remove that, so that we just have this. That's looking much better. And then let me go back into my index CSS. Okay, this is becoming very tight. Index CSS like so, and then inside my index CSS I'm going to add a border dash top dash right radius. Set this to, what did I have on the showcase? What did I have on the showcase? I had 100 pixels, so right inside here I can set it to 100 pixels as well, so that we have this. Look at that, look at that, that's looking amazing. And then obviously now for bigger screens we just want to reset a few things, and I'm going to start on medium screen. So I'm going to go back into my footer. I can close this, and I can close this as well, and this as well. So I can go back inside here, inside my footer element, and I can say that for medium screens, then I want the text to be left, like so, and this happens. And then I can go inside here once again, and I can say that for medium screens, then I want the mx to be 0, which will reset this, like so. And then I can go inside now the footer. I can go inside the footer, watch this, I can go inside the footer and say for MD, then I want to display this as a grid. And then for MD, I want the grid columns to be 2. Let's see this. Look at this. Look at that. So we have this on the left, and then we have all the other text on the right. And then now what we need to do is now just style this out a bit for medium screens. And I've just remembered that probably I should have padding on the X on the footer as well. So let's see if this will work. Let me say right inside here, and I'm going to say padding on the X of 5. Will that push it once? Correct. I thought that it would also push the color inwards, so that's why I wasn't sure. And then I think I might have done something wrong inside here, because now if I say flex, then it will grab this as one block and then this as the other block. Let me place it inside here. Let me say grid class name of flex. That's what happens. Okay, so that will still work. So inside here, let me say grid, and then grid dash columns dash 2, right? Dash 2, and this is for medium screens, of course. This is for medium screens. Remember to specify that, otherwise your application will break. And so we're going to have this. Look at this. Look at that. Instead of having grid here for medium screens, what if, let me just cut this out. Let me just cut this out. What if I can say for medium screens, let me place this into a flex. That's what happens. So we have this, and then I can say MD justify between, so that this goes to the end, right? Let's see. So this goes to the end, and then let me also cut this out. And then let me say for MD, let me place this into a flex. Let me see what happens. No, I don't want that. Let me just have this as a grid. Have this as a grid, and then also have this as a grid. I think that would be much better. That would be much better. And then obviously now for large screens. I just want to say grid dash columns to be 3. So let's see right around there. Oops, I added it on the wrong place. This shouldn't be here. This should be here. It should be here for large screens, grid dash columns to be 3. And there we go. Look at that, looking amazing. Looking amazing. Okay, and then let's add some padding on the top and bottom for this footer. And right inside here, I'm going to say that for large screens, and I want padding on the Y to be 10, so that we have a bit of leeway when we scroll like that. Look at that, looking amazing. And then remember that we skipped one section in the middle here, so we're going to add that section next. So let's see what that section is, and that section should be this one, state of the art. So I can close the footer now because we're done with it. I can close this buttons component, and then let's look for the state of the art. I can now close this and this. Let's look for the state of the art. Where is it? It's in my components folder, state here. Okay, and inside state, I've just remembered that we need to import some of our images as well. So the image inside here is called illustration fonts. That should be it. So just copy this. Okay, copy this, and then let's go inside our images folder here and then just paste it in, and it's called illustration fonts.svg. So I'm going to say import fonts from /illustration-fonts.svg, like so. Then I'm going to say _arrayfce, and then return a fragment first of all, and then return a section inside here. And then this section is going to have an h2. Does it have an h2 at the top that says state of the art infrastructure? So let's grab this from here, cut this out, paste it inside here, and then below this we're going to have a paragraph that says this. Cut this out and paste it inside here as well. Okay, now I think we're done with this index.html file, so I'm not going to save it, so that everything is going to reset as it was. And then inside here, let's see how this looks. We have the fonts image here, and then we have this background image as well, which I think they call illustration circles, if I'm not wrong. So we also need this BG pattern circles. I think we already brought it in, so that's okay. Now what we need to do is bring in the illustration circles, the BG pattern circles. So I'm going to copy this down, change this to circles, like so, and then change this to bg-pattern-circles, like so. Okay, so I can see that we're going to have a bit of positioning inside here. And before I do that, what I want to do is just grab this, place it inside a div, and then create another div which is going to house our images. So I'm going to say this first image, how should I do this? I should probably create another div inside this div. The first image is going to be fonts, and then create another div, and this second image is going to be, what did I call it? Circles, like so. So let's save this. Let's go into app.js and let's import it. It was below this, so state, import this like so, right there. And then let me just refactor this where I want this to be the first ones, and then the footer to be the last one, and then this free comes after that, just the order in which they appear. And then we have this state-of-the-art infrastructure, and then our circles image, right? Okay, now this h2 is going to be the same styles as this h2, so let me just go into design.js and then just copy that so that it just becomes a bit faster. So design.js, let me copy the styles of this h2. There's that h2 inside here. Copy these styles, and then go into state.js and then paste them inside here, so that we are going to have this. Okay, and then let me say inside here, let me say margin bottom of 5, and then inside this section, let me give this a class name of padding on the x of 5, right, and text dash center for everything currently, which will center everything. Okay, and then this needs to have a background color, right? Let me see if I added that. Is it given to us? Body copy, is it given to us? What's the background color for this? Let's see. I think I'm just going to use this headings color for the state of the art section. So what I'm going to do is go inside here and give this a class of state like so, and then go inside my index CSS right before this, before the footer, I'm going to say the state of the art like so, and then target the class of state, and then give this a background color of dash dash headings like so. Is that the color? That's not the color. That's not the color. That is not the color. We're going to do some bit of trial and error. Let's copy this and paste it inside here. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Let's grab this, copy this, and paste it inside here. That's not it either. Or do they mean this background gradient? Okay, so I think we're going to have to create a background gradient here. So let me say, give this a variable of state and set this to linear gradient, linear dash gradient, like so, and then set this to 90 degrees with the first color being this one. So copy this and paste it inside here, and then the second color being this one. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to roll with it for a moment, paste it inside, and then go right here and change this to the variable of the, change this to background image first of all, and change this to dash dash state, the variable. So I think we're just going to work with this. We're just going to work with this, and then let me go back into my state inside here, change this text color to white. So let me say text white like so, and then let me go inside here, change this to padding on the Y of 10, give us some bit of leeway like so, and then change this text color to white as well. Okay, so I can just say text dash white. Okay, that's looking nice. That is looking nice. And let me see what happens if I remove this. It should not work. Yep. Okay, now what we need to do is position these two images absolute within this. So how do we do that? Let me see how this mobile design looks. It's the images first, and then this, and this has a border radius on the top right and the bottom left. So let's do that right away before I forget it. And I can say border radius, set this to 0 on the top left, 100 pixels on the top right, 0 on the bottom right, and 100 pixels on the bottom left. So that we're going to have this. Okay, and then what we need to happen now is this section needs to be positioned relative like so, so that I can now position this entire div. So this div that has these two images, right, I can now position this div. Let me see, class name absolute, so position it absolute within that div like so. Where's our background image? So the circle's image is right around somewhere there. And then now what we need to happen is, let me set it to the top by 0, move it upwards like so. That won't work. That will not work, because as you can see now this remains hanging a bit, and then now the laptop now comes over it, right? So what I need to do is just remove all of this from here, and then go inside this image, the first image, give this a class name of absolute, and set it to the top by 0, which will move it upwards. And then grab the second image, set this to give this a class name of absolute as well, set it to the top by 0, like so, and then give this a z index minus z index of -1. Will that work? That doesn't work. I think the negative z index is only available when you have installed Tailwind by npm. Otherwise, I think we are going to have to do this manually. So let me just grab both of these and then just remove them, and then give this image both of these image a class name of how should I call this? Let me call this state-img. And then this one, I'm going to give it an extra class of circles, because I think I need to style it a bit differently from the rest. And then let's see, let me give this section as the index of 10 so that it is going to be always on the top. Let's go inside here and then let's take up the state img. So state.state-img, and then let's say position this as absolute. Okay, so that happens to the top by 0, like so. Okay, and then for this state, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a margin on the bottom, margin bottom of 100 pixels, so that it pushes downwards from this image just a bit, and then I'm going to go inside these images and give these images a width of, let's say, 300 pixels, which will okay, that reduces them massively. And you know what, I've just noticed something. Let me see what happens if I place this image to be the first one. Look at that. Okay, just as simple as rearranging things so that now the circles image, as you can see, it goes just behind the fonts, right? And remember that it has the same color as this background, that's why you can't really see it, but that's okay. And look at that, it just has a slight outline that you can see, so that's looking better, in fact. And then what we need to do now is add margin to this section, so to this text, so that it moves downwards from this image. So I'm going to go inside here, inside this div, give this div a class name of padding on the top of 96. Is that the highest? That's very huge. Let's say padding on the top of 80. Okay, padding on the top of 80. Let's say padding on the X of 10, or rather of 5, which will make it now 10 because it also, is that really good? I think that's okay, in fact. I think that's okay. And then we need this to be a negative margin so that the fonts push to the top. And then just so that this is much better, I'm just going to move this width a bit. Okay, so that happens. And then I want to say negative, let's say 10%, for example. Push it upwards just a bit, let's say 20%. Okay, and then now what need to happen therefore is increase the margin on this so that it pushes away downwards from this other text so that it's actually readable. So what need to happen here is just say margin of 100 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. Okay, so that it pushes away from this and it also pushes away from this. So actually, instead of having 100 pixels on the bottom, let's say 50 pixels. Okay, okay, now something is still wrong because this image is overflowing. The image is overflowing. So let's set this image to a max width of 100%. Didn't I do that at the top? Did I not do that with 100%? I thought I did that at the top. Yeah, I did. So why is this image overflowing? Is it too big? Let's set this image to 500 pixels therefore, or 400 pixels. Okay, so 400 pixels, and then let's say wait, will this one, let me say display block, and then margin, set this to auto. Let me see if that will center it. Okay, it doesn't, as expected. So let me see if I can say left of 50%. No, that will mess me up a lot. That will mess up a lot. So inside here, why isn't this? Let me say with or let me go inside here and then let me give this a class of width dash full. I don't know why this is not working. I don't know why it's actually bothering me. So let's move this, and then let's go back to the body at the top where we defined our body right here, and then let's say overflow on the y-axis, not really on the y-axis but on the x-axis. Set this to hidden so that we don't have an overflow on the x-axis and we can just scroll up and down. So I think that would be much better, and notice how this looks. That looks amazing, right? Now we just need to scale it up and hopefully nothing will break. As you can see, obviously everything breaks now. So how do you scale it up? Let's take a look at the desktop design. Okay, So we scale it up by placing this to the left and then this to the right, which would therefore mean that perhaps it would be a good idea to place the image first, this div first. Let me see what will happen. Place this div first before this div. Okay, nothing changes. That is good. Nothing should change actually. And then what I can do is go inside this section. Go inside this section and say that for medium screens, for example, then display this as a grid, and then for medium screen, let's say grid columns dash 2. Okay, so that we now have two grids, right? Because this is now placed to the right and then this to the left. And then what we need to happen now is reduce the size of these images. So let's go inside here and let's add a media query right around here, where we're going to be terminating the state and then the state.img, and then set the width inside here to 500 pixels, like so. Reduce them massively, right? And then we need to reduce the margin on the top of this, right? How much margin on the top was there? There was a margin that we added somewhere, padding top of 80. So right inside here, I'm going to say for MD, I want the padding top to be 10, which will push this. There we go. Okay. Actually, let me say padding top dash 0. Let me see. Okay. So what we need to happen here is padding top should be 20. Okay, so that we have this just a bit. And then we need to limit this div. We need to limit all of this so that it doesn't go to the end, just the way we did for these two, so that it doesn't go to the end, right? So how would we do that? We would have to limit this section, but if I add a max width on this, then this text will, the background color will also push inwards, and that is not how the design looks. So what we would need to happen here is we would need to add another section here, or another div to house these divs. So add another div inside here, so that now well, of course that breaks. So all we need to do is just take this from here and then paste it inside here. So class name, and paste it inside here. And I hope this doesn't break our mobile design. Of course it does. Of course it does. Oh, you know what? I've just noticed something else. We will probably need to add a bit more media queries. So you know what? Let me just undo that. Let me undo all of that. Okay, let's undo all of that, and then let's target these images. Let's target these images at the top right here, and then let me set them to a height of 300 pixels. Let's say width dash 100%. Let's say height to 500 pixels. Okay, that's looking much better, so that they now have a fixed height even when you increase them. Okay, and then obviously this doesn't look all that nice, but you know, it works. And then right here now it changes, right? So right around there it changes, and then we have state of the art and everything. And then let me just see how this looks. This is taken back to the left, so let's do that. Right inside here, I'm going to say for MD, then I want to say text dash left, right? Okay, and why isn't this text left? Why isn't this paragraph text left as well? Is it because of this? So let's go inside here and say for MD, let's say text dash left. Okay, that's looking amazing. Oh, you know what? I did this on the H2 alone. Okay, so that's looking much better. Oh wait a minute, does that need to be there because of this? Okay, that's okay. So we have this. Now let's see, let me just show you what I meant. If I go inside here and say that for XL screens, then I want a max width of 7XL, notice what happens. This moves inwards. I don't want this to move inwards. Okay, I don't want this to move inwards. So what is the solution? I have a solution. Yes, indeed, I have a solution. I can say XL here, set this to I can set this to mx-auto, which will push it to the center. Really? Are you serious? Why doesn't this work? XL max width dash 7XL. And then for XL I want to say mx dash auto. Wait, what? Why doesn't that work? What? That is very annoying. Okay, so what you can do is that for XL screens you can say padding on the X of, let's say, 52. Push it in once, like so, and there we have it. Okay, so we have this looking fantastic, looking amazing, and actually I think that is it for this project. Well, of course, except for this header, which I don't really understand why it's still behaving like this. I still don't understand why it's behaving like this. Okay, I still don't understand why it is behaving like this. Okay, is it because of this margin auto? Let's see the navbar. Let's say margin, set this to 0. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you know what, remember how we added margin auto on the top here, margin auto on the top. We forgot to reset this to 0. Okay, so when you add margin, where is it, when you add margin 0 here, now it goes to the end. Would you look at that? Now it goes to the end. And then now what we need to do is just target the ULs inside here and say margin of 0 on the top and bottom, and probably 20 pixels on the left and right to separate them out just a bit. Is okay, they go all the way outside of the screen. They go to the out of the screen. They go outside the screen. Why do they go outside the screen? Probably I should set this, I should set the width here to 100%. Okay, so 100% now does this. Okay, that's looking much better. That is looking much better. Let me just take a look, one final look at the mobile, at the desktop design. And would you look at that? Now this is looking, there you go, there you go, there you go. Now inside this header I'm going to give this sign up button, inside the buttons component I'm going to give this sign up button a class name of btn-light, so that is going to take up the orange or reddish color. And then I'm going to say bg-white, of course, and then say padding all round of 3, or rather padding on the top and bottom of 2, or padding on the y, sorry, of 2, and then padding on the x of 4. Make it bigger, and then say rounded dash full, like so. Okay, and then for this button we're just going to do all this. This is the very same thing. Class name equals to paste that in, and then the background is going to be bg transparent. So we don't need to add that, but we need to add a border, and then border dash white, like so. Okay, let's make this to 6 so that we have this. Okay, so we have this and this right there, and then we have this on the left. Correct, looking amazing, looking amazing. Now the final thing that I need to do is just space this out just a bit, where I want to add some space between this logo and then between this text. So I'm going to go inside here, give this a class name of, for medium screens I want the margin on the right to be 5. Pushed up just a bit, there we go. And would you look at that, that is looking amazing. Oh, finally we're done with this. We are done with this. And there's a lot of white space here, which I really like. I really like the white space, and it's looking amazing. There we go, there we go. Though the footer isn't really to scale, okay, the footer isn't really to scale, but it looks okay as well. Okay, I'm proud of this, I'm proud of this. If you enjoyed the video, give a thumbs up to the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.